It is no secret that Dauntless has issues. The game itself has changed a lot, and some changes are really important and really good for the game, but there's been a lot of changes that aren't so good for the game, and they are continuing to happen. So this video is talking about the changes I feel that are bad for the game, the problems the game has, and some suggestions to make the game better. Aside from that, check out my socials, my second YouTube channel, my TikTok. I post there regularly, and use my credit code in the Epic Games Store. It's OhDough. I appreciate that a lot. Aside from that, enjoy the video. Wish they get rid of weapon levels altogether, similar to how it was before. I wish that, no, weapon levels are fine. I feel that weapon levels are completely fine as a concept, but I don't think that I don't think that reforging your weapon should just flat out reset you back to ground zero. I think it shouldn't affect your level at all. And instead, reforging should just show that, hey, this person got level 20, and then they reset themselves, and their power is still the same, but they can still get more XP to keep doing it. And you can keep it to where it's still tied to this stuff. And the way you fix that, because you have like all these islands and stuff, right? When you go into an island, you can set your level to that island if you want to. Like scaling like that, I think is better than what we have now. Because now it's like you have to reset and go through a linear function, which is just whack. Right now, we don't really have pursuits because you can reset your weapon, and let's say you're level 1 and you're fighting like Lesser and Remain. You will very quickly become level 2, level 3, and then being there is no longer valuable. And if you're level 20, well, and you're not reforging, that kind of sucks. Like, I want to reforge my weapons, and I don't because it just sucks to reforge in this game. Meaningful content in Dauntless is not at level 1. It's not level 10. It's normally like level 15 to 20 is where the meaningful content in this game happens. Scaling, what a unique and unheard of concept that's never been done before. I know. Like, it was in WildStar. I've seen scaling in like a lot of games. It's in WoW too, right? Why did they not increase the power scaling on the more unused weapons instead of going, oh, fun detected nerf bat? Like, they're okay.
Yeah, good question. Good question. That's a great question.
I think that there's definitely a balance with like weapons in terms of just like overall damage output sometimes. Like Strikers at a certain point was ridiculous. Flat out stupid. Like how much damage it did.
Was released was fucking crazy.
And Hammer too. Like there's definitely a point where it's like, okay, we get it. Nerfing, that's fine. But when you have like a for fun game mode like escalation, nerfing is just kind of stupid in that regard. Because if you're going to nerf the things that people are actually using and you don't do anything to anything else that no one else fucks with at all, you're going to make me not want to play escalation. And I don't anymore, really. Like I used to be like all about doing escalation, trying to get fun amps, trying to go for big damage. But then they nerfed a lot of the amps that give you damage and didn't buff the other ones. And then they made the amps that gave you crazy damage legendary rarity. Like I can't get that shit. So I don't do escalation. And I told them, yo, doing this is going to fuck up your game, because why would you mess with the mode that makes your game the most fun? Escalation made the game the most fun compared to Trials, like tenfold. Trials is a failed mode in the video game, and they didn't understand that, because why on earth would you ever add Elder Shields to escalation if you know for a fact that modifiers aren't very much fun sometimes when they're not done properly? And they got that feedback, and they still put that in escalation. And it's not like the straw, right? That's not gonna break the camel's back. But that in conjunction with like a bunch of other stuff just makes the mode not fun. Like nerfing the for fun aspect of the game mode, and also I guess buffing the unfun aspect just makes no sense. Right. My thing is, I gave the feedback as clear as day, and they have the numbers. They know for a fact that Trials is not doing well numbers wise. Like, you know, you can say you want about Trials, but like numbers wise, it is not doing crazy. But escalation did really well. Hell, if we're just basing it off like views, like just views in total, if you like look up a view for like a escalation video from all kinds of people, views for escalation videos did phenomenally better than any video for Trials, really. Even from like a YouTube standpoint, I have the numbers per se. Like you can go on YouTube and just Google shit and you'd be like, wait, escalation videos were just more popular. People cared more. So I just don't get why you would take the aspects that suck in Trials and put them in escalation. My other thing is, Dauntless doesn't understand that power fantasies are massive. Like, don't make it where things are broken as fuck, but at the same time, let them have the chance to build up to being broken as fuck.
Let me have fun.
Exactly. Like give them the opportunity to make things that go crazy. For instance, one thing that wasn't even broken per se, if you look at it from the right lens, Scar weapons, when you could stack the shields infinitely, it wasn't broken, because the reason why, I could use any other, like I could use a lot of other builds and do way more damage than that. And if I'm already a good player, it doesn't matter, because to get a lot of shields with the Scar weapon to begin with, you have to be a good player and dodge really well. So it's like, if I'm already doing that, I could just use a different weapon and get more damage. But for some reason, it was a problem that you could stack shields that high. For some reason, it mattered. And so now that you can only get like a max of 3,000 shields or some bullshit. Who cares? Who wants to do that? Who's going to sit there and be like, yeah, it's really fun, sick. I got 3k shields. Oh, you got 3k shields? I also got 3k shields because that's now the max. There is no creativity in getting those shields. There is no like player skill expression in getting those shields. They ruined that for no reason. And if they kept it and you had the ability to get those shields and then you also had this freaking Omnicell that is Bastion and you fucking unleashed a monster dump truck of a hit on something, that would be sick. That would be content. But no, we can't have that because that is too much fun. And Revenant, the newest cell that they made, I think they went out of their way to make it so you can't have basically any interaction with this cell to make it more powerful. In fact, the more orbs you have, the faster they time out. And I'm just like, why are we going down this route where there's no bigger picture? There is only what the cell can do, and that is it. There is no like theory crafting because it gets stopped so quickly. That I feel is going to single-handedly ruin the game because it's already happened in Escalation, kind of. It's happening with Omni cells. It's happening with unique effect for weapons. Fuck the balance. It's a PvE game. You can have things be kind of broken, especially whenever like a really good player is using it to begin with, because who cares? They're a good player. They're going to abuse the systems you already have in place. But if you're making it hard for the veteran players to make the game fun for themselves, how do you think a new player feels? Like you're giving them nothing to look up to, nothing to like sort of like be amazed by. For instance, dude, the freaking one-shotting Malkarian. I don't care what you think about that shit. It doesn't matter if you like think it's dumb, do you think it's cool. I actually think it's cool. It's important for my analogy or my comparison. But people love that. Not even just in Dauntless, in Monster Hunter World. One-shotting a behemoth, two-shotting or monsters, whatever the fuck they call it in that game. People love big damage.
But a lot of it comes down to like the setup required to get shit like that too.
Yeah, and it's not like in Dauntless you could just use use one weapon and always one shot the behemoth. You had to have a setup. You had to have that like a certain setup, right, to do it. And so what does Dauntless do? They nerf the required setup. The one escalation that had, or there's actually two. It's shock escalation, terror escalation, and then aside from that, there really isn't any like wow factor, I guess. Like maybe no, they've actually nerfed it in every escalation really. What they did,
you get it pretty often, Terra.
Yeah, Terra's not a big deal. But in Shock Esca, it's a legendary drop to get virulent impact. They nerfed Throw the Hunt in all escalations, and they did some other stuff. And in Frost escalation, they nerfed Destructive Subtlety. It went from 75 damage to 50% damage, and it became a purple drop instead of a blue drop. So it became epic instead of rare. And I'm just like, y'all have to be so out of touch to be doing this shit. There's no way. People just, they gravitate towards that whole one-shotting behemoths, doing big damage. Like, that's like a thing to work towards. Because who wouldn't want to do more damage in a game like this, if you like the game? Like, that is the end game sort of thing, is like trying to become more powerful. In Dauntless, we just nerf all aspects of that because why not? And like I said, balance is one thing, but destroying any idea, any semblance of power fantasy is just flat out silly. And that's what's happening in this game, like constantly, just constantly happening. Like even balancing the cells is fine. Like nerfing overpower, completely okay with that. But I don't think that the nerfs in escalation made any sense because you nerfed all the things that people were using and you didn't buff a single thing that they didn't use.